Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Joe, and I'm the community manager here at Raise.dev. Welcome to the Raise.dev Hacktoberfest Help Desk, whether it's the morning, afternoon, evening for you, wherever you are. Welcome to the show. For those of you new to the show, the Hacktoberfest Help Desk is your place to get help during Hacktoberfest, whether it's your first contribution, you're working on a project you've worked on before, whether you've got questions at a high level, such as what is Hacktoberfest and how do I do it, or a very low level, such as I have this specific issue with this specific question, we can help you with that. The way that works is you submit your questions to raise.dev/Hacktoberfest, and we get those questions out to our lovely guests who will answer them here live on the show. And then we send you the recording after the fact. But as well as that, we have guests joining us all throughout October. We are here 3 times a day on most days. We've actually adjusted the schedule a little bit today. We are here 3 times a day on most days. You can find that schedule at twitch.tv/raisedevs schedule. And with our guests, we're doing all kinds of fun things as well as the questions. We have been looking at a lot of very old code recently. We're doing a little bit of that today. We've been looking at maintainers projects and talking about how they maintain that project and how people can get involved. And we've got some other things besides coming up throughout the week. So towards the end of the show, I'll run through our schedule for the day and for the week, give you a little bit of an insight of what's to come. But until then, we are going to be joined by a special guest today as well, who I will introduce very shortly. We'll kick off with the show. But before that, last final thing from me. As well as your questions during Hacktoberfest, Raise.dev is actually here to help you in your developer career in general. We are pretty new. We launched 2 weeks ago in early access, and we are a service to help you level up in your developer career, whether you're looking for your first job, second job, a promotion, a career change, anything like that. We have expert coaches on hand to help you get to where you want to be. And whilst we're in early access, we are completely free for you to sign up, get matched with a coach, and work towards your goals. So you can find out more information about that at raise.dev down below. You win if you sign up. Just a little note: if you sign up at the moment, you will currently be put into our wait list because we only have so many coaches and there's quite a few people signed up. That is a genuine wait list, ladies and gentlemen, and others. This is not any of that. Only the first 1,000 people can use the app kind of thing. I've had a couple of people message me saying like, oh, I'm so sad I missed out on the opportunity, etc. No. We are matching everyone on that list with a coach. It just will take us a little while to get through. So please stick with it. Do not worry if you get the waitlist message. It's just, it will take us a little bit of time to get you to a coach. So yes, that's everything from me. Let me add on our guest for the day. Please welcome Mr. Yashovardhan to the stage. Hello, how you doing?
Hello, I'm pretty good. What about you, Joe?
Yeah, good. Full of that first stream of the week energy. It's going to be nice. Would you like to introduce yourself to the viewers?
Okay, perfect. So hi, I'm Yashovardhan Agrawal. You can call me Yash from Major League Hacking. I'm the Hackathon community manager here. So I'm handling all the different things about hackathons, different other things around helping organizers, hackers around in the APAC region and kind of in the other regions as well. So here I am.
Yeah, I must say this title down below is a little bit incorrect. I put that in there, and then before the show, me and Yashovardhan were talking about the fact that he's involved in much more than APAC now. So I'm sorry for the incorrect title. Let's get that off the screen. There we go. So yeah, thank you for joining us. So yeah, you mentioned kind of what you're doing, and we're definitely going to get into a bit of that and talk about kind of like what that involves and how you came to that career path, because it's one of the things we like to do on the show a little bit is show kind of developer and developer adjacent careers that aren't necessarily strictly writing code and other ways that people can use their development skills in the industry, because there are many paths to this industry and we want people to know which careers are available to them. So we'll definitely do a little bit of that. As well as that, we're going to look at a project from that you originally started as a hackathon project, but it's now grown a little bit, right?
It is, but I'll also show the things I've done before at the hackathon, the first hackathon. Yeah. So yeah, it's a bit embarrassing, but I'll see.
That's perfect. That's what we like to look at old code and talk about what we do differently today. So that sounds great. So yeah, let's start with you. So this feels really weird, me asking these questions, because I've known you for a long time and have been here for a lot of these career stages that we're about to talk about. But yeah, where did your, I guess, developer journey start?
Okay. So I think my developer journey started a bit early on, since I was in my high school, or maybe a bit before that only. So the best part about it is a story. So my father wanted me to focus on my studies and everything. I was not great at sciences a lot of times. My physics is not that great. So he wanted me to focus on that. So I wanted a phone, and he got me a smartphone, but the worst possible smartphone he could get at that point. Nice. So, and I remember at that point, Samsung Galaxy S3 was the thing. Everyone talked about that. I
Right,
wanted my phone to look like that specifically. So I
right,
searched on the web, searched about different themes. How can I make this particularly port into this phone and things like
yeah,
that. And that's how I learned about Android and developing
right,
Android apps and things like that. So basically, it was the community. It was
yeah,
everyone in maybe XDA developers and
yeah, right.
Android authority and
Oh my God, that's
just
such a
channels like that.
throwback. I remember spending so long on XDA developers, like looking at like ROMs for the old HTC Hero, like the phone with the chin and this kind of stuff. Oh God, good memories. Wild, cool.
I remember swiping in the RAM to
Yeah,
like swiping in a memory card to extend the RAM and things like that.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
I did all those kind of stuff at that point of time. I remember.
That's wild. Yeah,
So
that's awesome.
yeah, exactly. So that was kind of my journey more into development because I was taught C, I was taught everything C++ and somewhat HTML, CSS and things like that. But that was kind of my start over there.
Right,
So high school days, I developed applications. I published a few to Google Play Store and then just abandoned it totally.
right. Okay,
Then
that's very impressive though. That's super cool. Yeah, like actually getting stuff all the way to the Android App Store after being introduced to that world in high school is super neat. What kind of stuff were you publishing? Like, what kind of apps were they?
so basically the apps are theme apps, mostly
Okay.
converting your like worst phones into a better themed versions
Right, right, right.
and things like that. I briefly tried to put different high scale apps into low scale one. I did not know it was like kind of not ethical to do that or things like that. Just I was just putting over
Yeah,
there.
you're
But
just trying to
few
make
of the
like
apps
your
were
phone work
suspended.
better for you, right? Like that's
Exactly. That was the thinking behind it. And it did not know that there was a copyright issue and things like that also
yeah.
involved with all those stuff. So I posted it over, it got suspended, and the other apps were working. So that was
Right.
kind of the thing what I did over
That's awesome.
there. So, yeah.
So yeah, after so
So
that was your like your intro to the thing. Sorry, we've got a little bit as always. We have a little bit of a delay, and sometimes we'll interrupt each other. Sorry, viewers. We'll get
yeah.
there.
Yeah. So that was kind of my start into the development sector. I got into the Android stuff in my high school, and then later on shifted towards web because I
Yeah.
thought I can make websites, nice
Uh-huh.
websites. Also, the thing was my father was spending a lot of money into developing his own company website. I was like, I can make it for free, or
Right.
you can
Right.
just
Right.
pay me some more pocket money and things like that.
Yeah.
So I did that, and that's how I got involved into the web development sector
Mm-hmm.
before I joined college. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Nice. Awesome. So like, I guess at the time, web development probably the tools you were using to build your father's website probably looked very different to what they look now, right?
A lot. So the first point of time, I thought web development was all about WordPress. So I
Right.
learned a bit of PHP, but I did
Yeah.
everything on WordPress mostly. And then later on, I shifted towards knowing things that were actually useful. So
Mhm.
when I went to college, it
Mhm.
was like I will talk about my first hackathon project later on.
Yeah.
So at that point of time, I was just learning HTML, CSS, and a few things about JavaScript. I had
Right.
known C and everything like that before, and
Yeah.
JavaScript was a bit familiar to me in certain terms because functions and everything are like the same everywhere. So I
Right.
was like, it's something I can do.
Mhm.
But I did not know anything about frameworks
Mhm.
and things like that. So if
Mhm.
anyone talked to me about Angular, React, I was like, what this actually is. But
Right. Right.
then later on, I got into it. But the major point here was I did not join as a CS graduate. I am not
Right.
a CS graduate. I'm a mechanical engineering graduate. Because mostly my marks were not good enough to get a CS branch. And the second
Mhm.
thing was my father's company is more towards mechanical and
Mhm.
electrical. So I moved towards mechatronics engineering
Mhm.
because according to me that would be a great way to go if I wanted to handle those things here.
Yeah, for
So yeah.
sure. Okay, so at what point, like, I mean, I guess you had that interest before you joined college, but obviously you have gone far more towards the software side than you have the mechatronics side, unless the M in Major League Hacking stands for Mechatronics League Hacking. But at what point did like you decide on that route? Like, when did it become clear to you that you weren't actually really going to end up working on what your degree was in?
Maybe after seeing my marks in my first year of engineering, I'll say
Yeah, that would do it. Nice.
so basically after that, and also I did not like going to the labs and everything. I did not like
Right.
going to the classes at all.
Yeah.
And I was kind of very excited about winning my first hackathon.
Right.
So I was like, I'll go to hackathons here and there, I'll just learn
Yeah.
new things over here. And I'll contribute to open source because that was like the biggest thing I could do at that point of time,
Right.
according
Right.
to me. So
Yeah.
that was the biggest motivation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess like onto that open source journey. So you've been involved in like a lot of, I guess, open source programs. Like I know you've been involved in Google Summer of Code and this kind of thing. Like how did that start? So I guess your intro to XDA developers was probably a lot of that involved open source, but it sounds like you weren't super aware of what that meant at the time. So I guess when was the first time that like you knowingly entered the world of open source? So that makes sense.
So I knew what open source was before going to college, but I did not
Right.
know I can contribute into it. I was
Right.
like,
Okay.
these are free softwares that are available for everyone. These are like
Yeah.
awesome people who do stuff for free for everyone. I do not know what they
Yeah.
get out of it and things like that. So that was my thinking at that point of time when I talked
Right.
about like XDA times.
Uh-huh.
But later on, when I went to my the college, the university, there were a lot of people, my seniors and everyone, who were doing all these kind of stuff. The
Right.
Again, I say the first hackathon was the major point because I wasn't not in contact with all these people. I was
Yeah.
like just the typical nerd of mechanical engineering classes who
Yeah.
was not interested in anything else. So uh, I went over there. I went over to the hackathon, contacted
Yeah.
a lot of people, talked to a lot of people, and they told me things like inside of the hackathon, I did not know how to use Git. I
Right.
was just messing around with everything. They
Yeah.
told me how to use Git. How should you actually host this over in GitHub pages and things like that. And
Right.
later on, those are the people who organized an event inside of the institute. It was for Wiki to Learn,
Hmm.
and inside of that event, we got to know a lot of things. We got to meet a lot of people from outside who were contributing into open source. They showed us how to maybe just make your first contributions and things like that.
Nice.
At that
Awesome.
point of time, Hacktoberfest was there, but we were not aware about it.
Right.
So I
Right.
could
Right.
have done a head start if it was
Yeah.
Hacktoberfest at that point of time. Yeah.
Nice. So yeah, I guess this leads us into your project a little bit, which you said was made at a hackathon. Was this made at that first hackathon?
Yep, I did.
Nice. Cool. Okay. So
Exactly.
so that's super interesting. So for those of you, I imagine anyone who's watching the show knows vaguely what hackathon is, but for those of you who aren't aware, it's basically like a long programming marathon, 28, 48 hours, where you work on a project. And so what's really interesting about this is, first of all, like at your first hackathon, you produced something that was good enough to continue working on. And secondly, actually did continue working on it, because a lot of these projects, and I don't think I have ever continued a hackathon project, a lot of these projects tend to go straight in the bin. So do you want to tell us a little bit about that? I guess what this first project was?
Right. So talking about this first project, so uh, I had an idea at that point of time. I had made an Android app out of it, but that
Right.
Android app was not great. I thought a web app would be a more sustainable thing for this idea. So
Mm-hmm.
the idea was to basically make a six-digit code that will point to every location exactly
Mm-hmm.
using their latitude and longitudinal codes.
Okay,
So
so kind of
that was
like
the basic
what
idea.
three words, I guess. Have you seen what three words?
So the Yeah, I know. I've seen
Yeah.
what three words.
Yeah.
So what three words is actually like they are using three words to point
Right.
at that point,
Yeah. Yeah.
that particular way. Google introduced plus codes actually. That was
Right.
kind of similar to this.
Yeah.
But the idea was it should be a simple pin code.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
global pin code. And
Yeah.
that pin code should point to your location, and that is changing every 10 meters.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the basic idea behind it.
Cool.
Although I got to know later on that six digit will not count for every latitude and
Right.
longitude what I
Right.
was thinking of. But at that point of time, I did not know. I thought it
Mhm.
can do, and I made a simple algorithm for doing that.
Yeah.
I'll not say it is a great. It I won't even call it an algorithm. I just converted it into a different way. I'll just show
Right.
you on the code
Yeah.
itself.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Nice. That's awesome. Okay. Cool.
exactly.
So you made that at the hackathon, and did you say was this like, how did this project do at the hackathon?
So at the hackathon, I did not expect this project to do anything. So everyone who is using high tech things out there. Like they were building some ML stuff. They were using some robotic stuff to build something, and I was the most junior one out there. I was like, I did not know anything, and these were the people who actually told me to do stuff here. I did not know how
Right.
to write an algorithm. I had called 2 or 3 of my friends from the back in the hostel to actually make an algorithm to actually just make it function at the day of the hackathon. So that was the only motivation there. And the best part was this was maybe the only hackathon I had. Like I was awake for the whole 24 hours. Other than that, every hackathon I've been, I slept for some time because I was like, I cannot work for so long.
Yes, I
So
feel that one
that
very
was the
strongly.
basic thing.
Okay, awesome. Should we dive into the
Yeah.
project? Should we put it up on the screen? Have a look.
Yeah, definitely we can.
Cool.
So
There we go.
yeah.
All right, let me make this big
So,
so I can see it.
mhm. So basically, this was, I'll say, the hackathon project that has been evolved now. If I talk
Right.
to you about the different one, I'll
Yeah.
just share the different one right now. Just a minute, get this load. So I need to revamp my GitHub as well. It's been so
No
long.
worries.
Okay, so
While you're
this
doing this,
was
oh, sorry, go ahead. Never mind. I won't do that reminder.
yeah,
So this was the original.
yeah, this was the original. You can
Cool.
see it's
Yeah,
almost
very
nothing
minimal.
there.
Yeah,
And you can see the commit message. It's like almost done.
almost
What kind
done.
of
Yeah.
commit message is that?
And then the final commit
Yeah.
message of actually done never comes in. So what's in this? What's in the JS folder? Is it a similarly that one file? Okay, oh, jQuery. Nice. Okay, cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
I could have just used the CD in here.
Yeah.
And
Let's crack open that index.html. Let's have a look what's inside.
I'll be embarrassed here.
What does UCP stand for? The project name.
Universal
Oh, it
Coordinate
says right there.
Pin.
Cool. Nice. Awesome.
Right. I
Yeah.
could have thought about any other name. Like Addy
Yeah.
was the name I thought about later on.
Right.
What is Universal Coordinate Pin? I cannot even.
I mean, it makes
comprehend
sense. It's like I guess it makes sense what it is. It's a bold claim, but it makes sense what it is. Okay, so actually, like this was your first hackathon project, and like throwing together a quick little like client side web app for that is like a perfectly suitable thing. And this is like obviously the very minimal version of it. So I guess like one of the things we've been doing on the show is like looking at like some of the ways that maybe we would write stuff differently like now than then. And I guess to start with, like straight up, I imagine if you were to start an app nowadays, you wouldn't start with just like an index file with a jQuery import. I imagine you'd be using some kind of framework or something like that.
Obviously, for this particular project, I'll be using React straight over.
Right.
Because
Okay.
this is a total static website. It does not make sense at the moment. So
Right.
yeah,
Right.
I will be using that. And if I
Yeah.
talk about even this particular, if I'd want to write a simple HTML, CSS code, I will definitely segregate into different files.
Right.
Because
You've got a lot of like
everything.
scripts in here, right? Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
no, this is a lot of
A
things.
lot of scripts in here. What is that? Map.
Mhm.
Oh, that's actually like. Okay, so this is actually using the Google Maps.
Yeah, exactly.
How
So
should we do
what
that?
this is doing is, so let me see what the import is saying here.
Yeah.
So this is using Google Maps.
Right.
This is using that jQuery
Yeah.
and some normal style sheet.
Okay.
That is just the Google fonts, I guess. Yeah, Google
Right.
fonts it is.
Yeah.
So next here, this is
Just like
just
setting up the
normal.
styling. Yeah.
Exactly.
And then you've got like this big block
normal-
of code that's like manipulating elements on a Google map.
Yep, it
Okay.
is.
Cool.
So now what this is particularly doing is
Yeah.
it's using the Google Maps geocoder API. I
Right,
don't
right.
know if it's like deprecated or it's working right now. So using that, it's using a marker and the variable map. So how Google Maps I knew used to function at that point of time, I don't remember the latest one. I've not used it for maybe 1 year or two or so.
Yeah.
So you had to import Google Maps, and every single thing, like if you want to get a code, you had to import the geocoder API. If you want to get the marker at a specific position, you had to use the marker thing and like as a variable, and then move that variable over to a particular coordinate there.
Right.
So that's how it used to work.
Cool. Yeah, it looks like
And
that API is still a thing.
Right.
Anomaly
So
in the
what is H2D function? Well, first of all, the name H2D. I'll not name it like that. How
Right,
do I
it's
know
not a
what
very descriptive
H2D?
name. Yeah. Well, so you've got the parameter to that as being D. So I'm guessing it's converting something
Mhm.
that's called H to something called D, but who knows what that could be.
Let's see. It will go on later here. So if I talk about this is
Yeah.
using the geocoded API, and it's just initializing the map here.
Mhm.
So for sure, I will just move this as a JSON if I
Right.
write it now and just
Yeah.
import the JSON here simply,
Right.
right?
Right. Right.
And even if I'm writing maybe like not the JSON file, like the JavaScript kind of a style here, I would
Right.
not use the JSON format here. I'm typically using the JSON format. I could have used simply variables of element type styles,
Right. Right.
right?
Right.
And just
Yeah.
imported them all into styles.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
this, okay, I think this is kind of a copy paste thing. I'm sure
Right.
about this because
So this
I'm
what's
not.
what is this even in here for? Because these are describing particular feature types. So you're not converting. You're not using this for the geocode, right? This is in here for how you're drawing the map. I'm guessing.
Yeah, exactly. So it's
Cool.
just
Okay.
coloring the map with different
Got you.
things. Yeah.
Got you. Got you. Okay. Great. Cool.
hmm And street view control, I don't even know
Right.
if people
So this
use
is all
street
just
view
like
nowadays.
initializing the Google Maps that you're displaying on the site. Okay.
Exactly. So till now, the Google Maps is there,
Yeah.
and map ID roadmap. Let's see. Okay, so if I am drawing a roadmap here, so it's like Google Map used different map IDs here, so
Mhm.
it's a hybrid map. It's a
I see.
roadmap map.
Okay. Yeah. I know.
So
Yeah. I know
those
which
are
ones
kind
you
of
mean.
things.
Yeah. Yeah, when you've got the
Right.
app open, you can select between like I want satellite view, I want just the road map drawn. Okay, cool.
Exactly. So this was that, and now the marker is here. So right
Yeah,
now I have to set a center.
right,
So this was the results array inside of this. I was using the geometry inside of that, the location.
right. And then
Okay.
all of this
So
is just dealing with moving the map. So yeah, this all could have been in like an external like, or it probably was originally in an external like Google Maps like JavaScript file that then you've cracked open and
exactly.
put into your own script, which is yeah,
Kind of similar, but I
yeah,
think I have done a lot of things here. So because
okay,
Google Maps is obviously giving this as like a tutorial inside of their
right,
API and everything. So I just
yeah,
copied that particular thing here. I
cool,
copied the styling here, and that's it about the marker because it's the only thing I maybe have done here is maybe the results array. I'm just adding in
yeah,
every other result of that G code position in the array next
right,
to it.
cool, okay,
I think I'm doing that.
yeah.
Okay. So
So so it
so
looks
this
like down
will
here is where we get into you actually converting the lat long into, or getting the lat long from an address, I guess.
exactly.
Cool.
So for this address, I'm using the geocoder
Hmm.
lat long position. I'm updating it to the response into formatted address, right?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
this responses is being converted into results, if I think it is.
Hmm.
I'll see it later on, maybe. It's not returning anything here.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's returning to string 36. So
Cool.
it's
Now
using
we've
D
got
to
D
H
to H
here.
instead of H to D.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So H2D is here, D to H is there. So there are
Yeah.
two functions. Okay.
Right.
So moving in here, it's moving it to uppercase. Oh, I remember the code used to be A65D and things like that. So I was like, if anybody is getting a lowercase and an uppercase, they'll be confused and the whole string will return something else because uh,
Right.
what I used to do is I converted this to a 36 character thing from
Hmm.
uh, how should I say? So lat long is basically in uh, 10 digits, right?
Hmm.
Not 10 digits, I'll say. It's the base is 10, right? For lat longs,
Right. Right.
right? It's 0 to 9. The base is 10. I'm
Yeah. Yeah.
converting this to a
To
base
base
36.
36. Got you. Okay. Cool.
So that is what it is doing. It's converting into
Sure.
a 36 base. So 36 is accounting for the 26 letters
Cool. So D
and
to
for
H is like decimal to hexadecimal, I'm guessing.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, cool.
So
Okay,
hexadecimal, but not exactly hexadecimal. It's like 36 is the base
right.
here.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
So that is the thing. D2H and H2D are that. I thought about, so this is a totally like bad naming here. It does not seem anything what it's doing.
Yeah.
So moving further, this is just updating the marker status to this particular string.
Right. But all of this, like in terms of like the actual JavaScript we're seeing, I mean, like, obviously nowadays, like you've got a lot of vars that like would be replaced with like lets and consts and that kind of thing. But I mean, other than that, like it's for what you're doing, it's perfectly reasonable JavaScript. I guess the only other thing is like this is all document. That's all fine. We haven't seen any actual HTML request, HTTP request yet. So it'd be interesting to see how you're doing that. But I mean, the JavaScript all looks reasonable to me. It's readable. I mean, aside from the naming, it's readable JavaScript.
Kind of it is, but I do not like
I mean, the indenting is a little all over the place. But that's probably because we're reading it on GitHub in a HTML file more than anything. But that function we just went past, was that the function that actually converted it into the 6-digit code? This one here, update TS code?
Exactly.
Cool, okay.
Exactly. It's doing that. It's updating this code. It's multiplying it by 100 and adding 18,000 and 9,000.
Do you know how you arrived on those numbers? Are they, yeah.
It's something we did on paper and just copied it over. Something like that. I have no idea how I did that.
So I guess in an ideal world, you'd have those like described as consts with some comment about why those numbers are what they are.
So I guess those numbers are here because so I think 36, 18, 18,000 and 9,000 all lie on the same table, right? So this was done so as to avoid code overlapping.
Right. Okay.
So what it was doing here was when I was converting latitude and longitude, I was joining these two. Like you can see here, this particular place, I'm joining both of them into a single string.
Right.
So when I was converting it back, so it was not showing over the right address, the right latitude, longitude. So I did a simple jugaad here. So
now you're gonna have to explain what that means to all the viewers.
So jugaad, we actually introduced this as a price category. It was a funny story as well, Joe. Like Joe asked me over when he was looking for the APAC region, can we have a small like price category for funny and silly hack? So I said the first word that came into my mind is jugaad. So the jugaad just means any way to implement anything in a funny way, or maybe just so that it works. Yeah, that's the basic thing. So I did a jugaad here. So that is basically to convert this into a different total form. Maybe the 9,000 was the limit here, 18,000 was the limit here, like maximum limit it can go to. And from there, I can easily convert it back. I might have, I have deleted it. See, 180, it's multiplied by 100 and added 18,000. It's divided by 100 and minus 180. So when I'm converting back, it's looking different here.
Cool.
So, yep.
Nice. Very good, Jugaad. This is, by the way, I put for anyone who is not familiar with that term, or it's the first time you're encountering it, highly recommend you Google that term. There is some absolutely fantastic stuff that comes up in the images. It's so good. Anyway, cool. Okay, so that all makes sense, and I think I get how this works. So, kind of like what's really interesting here is like this was a hackathon project you made in a single HTML file. Like all the script was in here, and now it's like a project with at least 36 contributors and multiple repos in the organization. Like what happened between those two things?
So particularly about this project, so I remade this project multiple times. So if I talk about this here, it's UCP here.
Yeah.
It's Addy here.
Addy in your own, okay. Oh, that's all.
So these are all forked later.
And then there's the original Addy one. Okay, right.
So this
and
was
also Addy Hack in the North.
Exactly, in the Hack in the North as well. Yeah. So these were all remade in different projects in different ways. So in Hack in the North, we made a like Android app out of it. In a different hackathon, we remade it to maybe a new design and new backend algorithm, totally from scratch. And from then onwards, I was like I was winning some kind of a prize in every hackathon. Like for Hack in the North, I might have won somewhere in the first try with some prize here.
Right.
In another hackathon, I won something else. So Addy was winning almost everywhere. So I was like, why not convert this into an organization and make this actually like a nice project?
Right.
So I converted this into an organization because I
Mhm.
was working with a lot of open source projects at the moment. I kind of knew how to
Right.
handle an organization.
Yeah.
And the major motivation was maybe to publish it into Google Summer of Code and make it somebody else's project who
Right.
can maybe own it and make it to a different level. So maybe we can see the documentation for a bit. So this was the documentation I created for Addy later on when
Right.
I tried to make it as a project. You can see
Love a
GSOC
bit of
is written
Jekyll.
over here.
Nice. Cool. Yeah. Which probably
So
explains why this
okay,
is the most recently updated part of the project.
maybe it is. So yeah, newcomers guide was the contribution guidelines, commit guidelines, code of conduct,
Nice.
adding CI to your fork. So
That's
what
super
was that?
cool. Oh, it's actually how to go through
I
Travis. That's awesome. Code up.
all right. How to make from Travis and everything like that. I added over here.
Can you
Good
open
tutorials.
the contribution guidelines? I'm really intrigued. What's in your contribution guidelines? The one, yeah, that one.
Let's
Yeah,
see. Yep.
nice. This is
So
actually got like the Git commands to use and that kind of thing as well.
so you need to fork. You need to use Git. You need to
Yeah,
use pull requests
writing a test case
and
before
how
fixing the bug. That's nice.
right. Adding a
And then
new Git
yeah,
fixing a bug. Before you submit, test cases don't fail. It's
yeah,
necessary to run all test cases. And writing good commit messages. Check your
right.
coding style. Right, that's nice.
These are like really nice and solid like contribution guidelines. So like this is so fascinating to me. Like the evolution of a project from like single, like being able to see its origins through to like an actual organization that has like docs and good guidelines. So like at what so there's back on the GitHub organization we can see there's 36 people. Like to what extent was like
Mhm.
this all written by you versus like who are these other people that you're starting to bring in the project, and when does it kind of turn into a group effort?
Right. So if I talk about the people in here,
Yeah.
most of the people are from my like university mostly.
Right.
So they were there as contributing it for maybe at that point of time we were very active as an open source society.
Yeah.
So a lot of people actually came in here to maybe work on this as a project over in the university and things like that. And later on, when I posted this on like Hacktoberfest, I got a lot of response. Like
Cool.
I made this whole documentation because of Hacktoberfest, and that
Right.
is mainly what grew this organization at that point of time. So
Mhm.
it was kind of abandoned after 2018. It was not exactly updated, although
Right.
Android was updated a bit more
Yeah.
recently. But at that point of time, if I say I was getting contributors from Europe, I was getting contributors from Singapore, I was going from Indonesia, everywhere in the world, and it was so fascinating for me that
Yeah.
by just single tag and a simple code is getting such a contribution,
Yeah.
and those people I am still in contact with one or two of them, and
Yeah.
that was one of the best things I've seen.
Cool.
So
So
yeah,
you said that was due to Hacktoberfest that you were getting the contributions. So what did you
yeah,
put
it is.
up like issues for Hacktoberfest at the time?
Yep, I should have. Let me check. So
Cool.
maybe in the Addy web app because this
Yeah.
has got 67 commits and
Nice.
I've deleted a lot of commits as well. So if I see issues, I can see five closed issues.
Yeah, Hacktoberfest and
So
beginner friendly. That's awesome.
yep. So these were the things. So
Yeah.
this got maybe a few requests. Addy Android got a lot of them. So
Yeah.
if I see Addy Android, 12 issues are open right now. Okay. So So, yep, some open code 18 was also here.
Nice.
Hacktoberfest, three Hacktoberfest issues,
Yeah.
and a lot of pull requests as well. Yeah, 22 pull requests. That's nice.
Hasn't been reviewed for
And
2 years. Someone is slacking on that pull request.
let's see what is happening on that pull request. Let's see. So, read me update by someone. So, uh, grammatical
Oh,
thing
grammatical
from
error.
the to the. Yep. So this was one of my friends who used to manage like
I
the
see.
Android part mostly.
Nice, that's awesome.
So
it's super.
This was the thing.
We've had a couple. We had Andrew on a little while ago who like spoke about kind of like community projects and like doing things for your like putting up projects for your local community that kind of like give people a way to get started within an environment that they're like already familiar with and like with people they already know, because it lowers the barrier a lot. But it is like really interesting that you started to get outside contributions as well. So another thing I saw on here, which actually would be fun to talk about for a little bit, if you scroll down, you guys were running Hubot, which is super cool. Adbot. So do you want to talk a little bit about like what that is for? Like, so I'm guessing from the description, this looks like it was for our one commit. Never mind, then don't talk about that. But in theory, what were you trying to do with this?
So basically, what I wanted to do is, if I talk about the Gitter organization, I use Gitter as a chatting platform. If I can, maybe I can think what's going on in Gitter. I have not used Gitter in maybe so many years.
Yeah.
So inside of Gitter, a lot of people. Yeah. So inside of Gitter, a lot of people were asking very redundant questions at times, and I was like, I do not need to answer them. Maybe a bot can answer them. How should I start contributing? Just go to this particular guide. How should I do this? How should I do that? So I wanted to first of all automate that.
Yeah.
The second point was I was so involved in the like administrative stuff. I could not actually focus on a lot of code because two people were monitoring this organization, that too part-time, because they were learning stuff.
Right.
So I'll just show you a kind of what the Gitter looks. I should have to share this again, right? I'll stop my share and share it again.
So just aside for those of you who don't know, so this is written in something called Hubot, which is a chatbot framework that was made by GitHub a million years ago. So the principle for Hubot is what's called chat ops. So it's the idea of like automating parts of your development practice with a bot. So we spoke about this with John in, I think we did it on the episode on Friday actually, maybe before, where like with chat ops, the idea within GitHub was that like rather than say you had a command that you needed to run in the terminal, rather than running it in the terminal, you do it in the Slack channel, and then the bot would execute the command. So that way everyone can see what's going on and can help you if you need it. So Hubot still exists. It's a little bit jank because it's not, the public version isn't actively maintained. But it's a super great tool to like do some tasks that would normally be private in public. So it's interesting to see it used in this context. And also it's weird to see Gitter open. I haven't seen Gitter in so many years. So yeah, sorry. So you were going to show us the chat room and where it's used.
Exactly. So if I see the chat room, I had to post a newcomer's guide over here and everything so that everyone knows what's going on. And maybe few messages are not here. I cannot see some few messages. Have they been deleted or something by Gitter? I don't know. But this was basically the chat over here. Like I was getting a lot of people asking the same questions. I guess this will be totally empty because we were not working quite. Oh, this has got a few messages. I did not know about that. So so a lot of questions were like, I wanted to do this, I wanted to get started, I wanted to do this, what's your next plan, and things like that. So I wanted it to be just automating all these stuff, and maybe
so
later
like
on
common phrases and dropping in with like guides and that kind of stuff.
Right, exactly, that's what I wanted there. Sorry for closing that out. Here it is, the advert.
So I guess like nowadays, so I actually had to open this up because I wasn't sure. So I used to do a lot of Hubot stuff, but throughout like my time doing that up until about 2018, 2019, it was like slowly getting more difficult because so the last commit on the Hubot repo was the package.json 2 years ago. So, and the tests, so it hasn't been updated properly in a long time. So like, I guess nowadays we wouldn't really use this framework. And we'd be using like just a normal bot, I guess. So on that note, if you're interested in writing bots that automate these kind of things that Yash is talking about, you can go right back to the beginning of this show's history, to the first Friday where we had a show with William Russell, who was doing some of this stuff with bots on Discord. So yeah, okay, cool. A little bit of a bot tangent.
Right. I had done some bots. So basically, I was working with Cola on Corobo, and Corobo was based on Cobot. That's a framework on Python.
Mhm.
And we used to automate everything inside of the organization there. So maybe that kind of was an inspiration to building AdBot. So I was not that familiar with Python, although I
Yeah.
had worked on that project a bit. So I was like, Ubot is based out of mostly JavaScript, and I would be easily handling this anyway. So
Yeah.
that might be the
Yeah, I was about to say
main.
it's a lot of the for writing scripts with Hubot,
Mhm.
it's CoffeeScript, which again is like
Exactly.
a lot of the CoffeeScript features ended up in Ruby, so no one really writes CoffeeScript anymore, to my knowledge. I'm so sorry if there are any CoffeeScript people in the crowd who are now going to attack me. But to my knowledge, like a lot of what was good about CoffeeScript made it into Ruby, so it isn't really done anymore.
Mhm.
Um,
Right.
cool. So yeah, so onto
So
Addy
yeah.
itself. So we can see here that like you broke Addy out into
Mhm.
a number of projects, including you broke the
Right.
algorithm out. So I'm guessing the algorithm is being consumed by like the different apps. Is that how this is structured?
So the reason why I did this was I wanted this to be an API. So first of all, everything was hard coded inside of JavaScript. You remember
Right.
the first project we see.
Yeah.
So I did not want this to be hard coded anywhere. I wanted this like you can see the API as well written over here. I don't know why algorithm and API are different things. Maybe I wanted to delete the algorithm thing and I made it to an API.
Sure.
So thing was I wanted to make an API where I could just import it anywhere inside of an application.
Hmm.
And here it looks. So I have not shown you the Addy how it looks, right? It might
Yeah.
not work right
Does
now,
it
I
run?
guess, but this is how it looked. I
Cool.
don't know if it runs right now or not. So you can search any place by name or search by the Addy. And
Mhm.
this is the Addy you will get. This is
Cool.
8-digit right now.
Mhm.
And address and the info, basically their latitude and longitude.
Right.
Now, the other challenge what we faced at that point of time was if you see the latitude and longitude,
Mhm.
if you use them into the two decimal points, it will show you up to 100 meters. Like the accuracy will be until 100 meters. Three
Right.
decimal points, the accuracy will be more till 10 meters. And
Right.
that's how it grows. For 1 meter, more accuracy will be there if I add four decimal points. The
Hmm.
problem was I was converting a decimal number that not just a decimal number. I had to multiply it by maybe 1,000 or something to make it a number, and then I'm converting
Yeah.
into a different base, and that number could fluctuate from 6 digits to 8 digits to even 10 digits,
Hmm.
and that was not ideal. So what
Right.
I wanted to do later on that was in my plans to maybe use some image recognition stuff inside of the map.
Hmm.
So this could not be done on Google Maps for sure. So I think the other option was Open Maps.
Right.
So uh, Open Maps inside of that, what we could do is we could use certain image recognition stuff. For example, if I see over here, I
Yeah.
can maybe segregate this park into a single code. So
Hmm.
anyone who is this in this section of the park, this is the green section, they are
Hmm.
in this particular place. I have a single ID over there. If they are in this section, if I talk about the building stuff, each
Right.
building will be mapped individually based on their image recognition. That was the idea there,
Okay.
and it could never be executed. It could not even be started because
Right.
I was too busy with other stuff. But that was the idea out there.
Mm.
Maybe every individual building could be individually mapped and things like
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah.
anyone can use a code and go with it.
Right.
So yeah.
Which having, I guess, like having been to India is like for I've been to places where the postcode system has differing levels of success. So, for example, like UK worked great, post always got where it's meant to be. Here in Amsterdam, it's a disaster. My post always goes missing. I have no idea why. But like during my time in India, trying to like find an address from Google Maps definitely didn't work like 90% of the time. So I can imagine there's like some local context to
Mhm.
where this idea came from.
Exactly. And you were in the most urban parts of
Yeah.
India at that point.
Yeah.
You were in Bangalore, Delhi, and
Yeah.
Jaipur, I guess,
Yeah.
and maybe
Exactly.
in Agra.
Yeah.
So all these
Yeah.
places have very good Google Maps coverage.
Right.
If
But
I talk
even
about
then, like when someone gives you one thing I had a lot is when like people would give me their address, they'd have like, so you see here like the name of the street and the number of the building, and then they'd always add like brackets near the post office or opposite this. Like there'd always be extra notes to tell you like where it was, which kind of told me gave me a warning that maybe like even in places where it worked well, it wasn't quite working as well as it should have done.
exactly. Even if I talk about currently, like if I want to call a cab at my home, I'll have to tell them on the phone that this is the exact location you have to come over. You do not have to move in a different colony or something. I
Yeah.
Google Maps is always making like my place show up in a different colony than what it
Right.
is right now.
Right.
So this could
Yeah.
have been very useful there. So that was the
Yeah.
basic idea there. So if you see, it's written 7-digit code, but
Mm.
it's an 8-digit code over here.
Right. Okay. Got some
So
updating to
yeah.
do.
Right. So
So how is this
geocoded API,
project
placement
structured?
API.
So like
Mhm.
how is this project structured versus the old one? So I'm seeing much more of a
Mhm.
more of a project structure in here. So I guess like it's not
Right.
all just in the index.html this time. What's in the JS file?
Right. So first of all, Travis
You
added
have
Travis
tests.
is added over here.
Yeah.
I have a lot of tests, and why I don't know Docker test is here. I guess I was running this on Docker as
Yeah, it
well.
looks like that.
So here's that, and this is basically Koala. That is basically linting tests.
Okay.
So you already saw like how was the linting over there, how
Right.
bad it was structured and everything
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Inside of the Cola file, it is looking for all these files particularly. So Cola beer means so Cola is a library where linting happens.
Mm-hmm.
Cola is written with a small c. So what Cola bear is doing here is if there is any capital C for Cola, it will move into a small c so
I
that
see.
the branding is correct. So
Yeah.
I just copied it over. If I want to maybe write it down somewhere, maybe line
Right.
count. So maximum lines per file was 600. I made that a standard. Okay.
Right.
Space consistency. So I did not use space. I wanted to use tabs. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm against tabs, just so you know.
I'm waiting
And
for the chat to explode in outrage.
yeah. And HTML lintware. So it's basically linting HTML over here, maybe to the standard way.
Oh,
Right.
so koala calls
Uh,
their linters bears. That's real cute.
Exactly, exactly. So that's like a nice name and styling over here. If I just love Koala for the way they used to code. So yeah, I just
Mm.
love it. And it was hosted in GitHub Pages. I don't know if it works or not. What is this? Let's see.
Oh,
Uh,
the actual Addy site was on GitHub Pages.
yeah,
Nice.
exactly. It can be. Maybe let's see. addy.github.io/addy. Let's see if it works.
No.
Oh, it's not working.
Oh,
Okay.
that was the custom domain. Maybe it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. If I delete the custom domain, it might work. Should I? Let's do it.
Ah, okay, go
Let's
for it.
do it. Ah, why I'm doing that? I'll just delete the CNAME file.
Let me try on mine as well.
I'm deleting the CNAME file and commit changes. I have deleted the CNAME.
Okay.
So, yep, let's see. It will take some time. Till
Yeah,
then, we
so
can talk about a few
there is
things.
the GitHub Pages site here. So I guess maybe if it hasn't been pushed to in a while, maybe the GitHub Pages hasn't built the project in a long time. But now you've just pushed to it. You just deleted the C name, so maybe it will trigger a build. Go to the go to under
Actions.
settings. I don't know if it defaults to there. There should be a pages thing under. If you scroll down on this page, this first page, keep going. Under features.
Mhm.
Oh,
Oh, okay, yeah. GitHub Pages, right?
site is published.
It's,
Oh,
it's,
it's capital A, Addy. Okay.
let's see. Yeah, it works. Oh no.
It's,
Region not supported and things like that. Allow. Okay, I will not allow this here.
I'm giving you my
Oh,
location
yeah.
access. Oh, it's working for me.
It's working. Oh,
Yeah.
wow. I did not know that.
Oh no, region not supported. No Addy code. Okay.
Okay, I was just using the region for India at that point of time.
Right. It
So this
also
is working.
where is it put my address? Where does it think I am? It thinks I live in a Dunkin' Donuts. Okay.
Okay.
Super cool. Well, it works. It's on GitHub Pages, which is nice. Like that, you've built a relatively full application, and it's all because it's all client side and because it's all static. It like just works in GitHub Pages, which is great.
Exactly. Yep, it is kind of crazy. I never thought it would work, but yeah, I'm happy that it works.
It's always nice to come back to code you haven't touched in 2 years and see that it works.
Exactly. That's like a huge thing. I literally thought I would be on this stream showing everyone a static project that does not work. That's why I was just looking at that graphing and telling you this is how it works.
Especially when it's JavaScript, because I always expect JavaScript to like have changed. Like we were talking with Shana about the C, there's like the C code that she wrote in university, which like still works because it's C, you know, and C doesn't change, and you can just compile it with like it didn't have any like APIs that's calling any libraries. It was standard static Linux C, so of course it works. Whereas like you expect like when it's a web app that like Google would have changed this API, or like your JavaScript framework you're using would have some dependency that now no longer exists or something like that. But yeah, that's super cool.
And that's actually good on the part of Google that they have not changed the API at all.
Yeah.
That it works.
It's rare on the part of Google as well.
Right, exactly. Cool. And I tried the get directions, and the direction API is also working. I just used that from Delhi to my particular place. That's nice.
Cool. It's awesome.
Okay.
So yeah, we were talking about how this project was structured differently to the original one. So you have tests and you have linting, which is like a big step up. And I guess that's kind of necessary where, you know, you start to introduce other people to the project. Now it's not just you need to have your own standards. What's in the JS file? Like, I guess, so one of the big things in the previous one was that we were talking about like, you know, breaking out stuff from that one monolithic file. So now you just have still one monolithic file, but at least it's not in the index.html.
Great. And it's broken up apart.
Cool.
And still it's very long.
Yeah.
Although like get position, show position, the naming is very good now. Get location. So the naming of the function is definitely improved a lot. Yeah. But if I say about right. But again, this map options can again be done over JSON, because see over here, the style is again a JSON file is what being copied, and that's not a good thing.
Yeah, right.
Exactly, that's not a nice way to do it. And moving down, let's see what it is. So I added DOM listeners for onload functions. Okay, so yeah, it is capturing onload. It's capturing the location now, where your the server is located or something. Sorry, something like that. And from that, it is pointing out to the address at this point of time where you are located. So yeah, so that it is. I've added DOM listeners and then code address.
Yeah.
So although I'm not familiar with the function still now, var is still being used. I'm not sure why. I should have used let or const for sure. I prefer const in a lot of places. And
that address shouldn't be changing, right? Oh no, hang on, sorry. What am I talking about? That address will change all the time. So that's probably why it's not const.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I think I could have used some other way to do this. Yeah. Maybe I could have done addresses in an array and maybe added like you have searched for the like latest addresses are here. So I could have used constant that place as well. Yeah. So this is one of the things. Get geocode position. And recently, is this a change done on GitHub? I've never seen this particular way.
Oh, this?
Yeah,
they've now started to make the editor in GitHub like more like an IDE, I guess. So it shows where it's referenced. It's really nice. Yeah, that was made. When was that change made? The thing is, it only supports certain programming languages, if I remember correctly. So the feature was first added a while ago, but support for newer languages has been added. So I think it started with Python originally.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I did not know about that. It's been so long I've done anything on specifically JavaScript. So I say.
Yeah. And also you're very rarely look around in this editor. So.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just doing everything over on my, obviously, laptop or anything like that.
Oh, so here we
not
still
even
have one
tried
thing
the
that we spoke about
VS Code
before,
thing.
where you still have a
Mm-hmm.
you still have a lot of just like hard coded numbers in the file, a little bit above. So var lati and var long, you've got like
Right.
74,000, and the numbers got bigger.
Yeah, the numbers got bigger, and the conditions also got pretty nasty over here. So
Yeah.
it should be latitude should be greater than 30,000.
Right.
Longitude should be again greater than 30,000. So if it's greater than 30,000, region not supported will be written.
Oh,
Okay, so your
that's
latitude,
how you
longitude,
limited it to. Okay, interesting. Yeah. And is that
right?
just because outside of that range is where you ran out of digits? Because you were saying earlier that you realized your algorithm didn't cover the whole world. Okay.
Exactly. So this particular thing, like 74 is 67,000, might be done to concentrate the whole thing into the Indian region.
Right.
So that might be the thing over here. So it's just using it here, and it's converting the code later on. Code convert into latitude, code convert to longitude.
Mhm.
Where's the code convert thing? And there's a code back thing. That's not again a great name.
So I
Uh,
guess converting it back from a code into an address.
exactly, that might be the thing, but not code back. Like convert address, something maybe better name.
Oh, that's code.
Code back.
Hey, code back convert and code convert is a renamed H to D, or D in that case D to H. It's the
Exactly, it's
the same code with a real name.
exactly. That might be the thing why we started the algorithm thing, because the algorithm was not improving. The whole usage was improving. The front end was improving.
The apps were improving.
The code
The
quality was
yeah.
right.
So did you
So
ever
this
work
might be the
out
thing.
like how to change the algorithm so that it would work for the whole world? I imagine
So
if you have, you didn't remember, but yeah.
I don't exactly remember. We had a plan. Actually, we had a plan for that. We thought that what we'll do here is, first of all, I told you the way we'll map different particular, like, what do I say? um, different buildings differently. But the
Right.
other plan was there are a lot of libraries available that are mapping the different like countries all over the world, like their borders and everything. So what we can do is the first two digits or first three digits of the particular country will be that, and
Yeah.
the last will determine what will be the code. So, for example, it will range out from 3 to 6, the last three codes, and the first three codes will be, for example, uh, IND for India and USA or something like that.
I
So
see.
that was the basic plan over there.
Cool. Nice. Okay. Awesome.
Right.
Makes sense.
So this was the thing, and it calculates the route. So this was using the geolocation API. This was using the position API. Yep, and the
Oh,
directions API. It's using the
you actually had root
yep.
calculations in the app as well. So with that, as in like you give
Mhm.
a Addy code, you give two Addy codes and get the root between them. Okay.
Yeah, exactly that.
Interesting.
So it was not working for two ADI codes. It was for if you have seen the app, get
Yeah.
locations from your location. So that was the thing,
I see. Okay.
right? So this was that, and yep, I guess that's it.
Nice. Yeah.
I
Cool. That's
was now I'm doing a nice thing that I'm updating everything from JavaScript itself, the map area and everything. So I guess HTML will be a lot cleaner.
yeah.
Let's see how HTML looks. Um, index.html. Oh, that's a lot of import.
I mean, but
I
this
think.
is also a good thing. Well, and also like I think a big difference between the other one is like you have meta info in here. You have like different size icons for shortcuts. Like it's built for a variety of devices, not just your demo laptop.
Right, exactly. That's for certain.
You are bringing Bootstrap in from the official CDN rather than building it in the project, which is I'm told
That was
by everyone that
right.
you shouldn't
Yes.
do this, but I don't know why. But well, I do know why. But like it's always annoyed me.
Yeah. And am I using that much of Bootstrap? I don't think Bootstrap should be
I'm
used if
actually
I'm not
not
using it that
really
much.
seeing a lot of. Oh, there we go.
Yep.
You've got some button primary MT5 button block, and you've got content and bar. But you're not doing a whole lot. You're not using the grid a lot, except in odd places.
Mhm.
But
exactly.
everyone, it's like,
And
everyone default when you've got a new project, you default import Bootstrap, right?
yeah, that was this like I guess this was me 3 years ago because I was using Bootstrap for every other thing I was making. So I was like, I'll just use Bootstrap and make it to a better button over here. I
Right.
might have other plans, but I was like, just make it at this point of time. So yeah, that might be the overall thing here. And
Cool.
yep, it's using a lot of. I don't think these many things should be used.
Wait,
Why
did you already import Bootstrap
Offer.js
at
is
the
being
top?
used?
Have you got a
What?
Bootstrap import? You imported Bootstrap at the top. Have you got it imported twice in here? There's one
So I guess
there.
this is the Bootstrap JS and this is the Bootstrap CSS.
Yes,
Yep.
you're right. Yeah, that makes sense. Cool. Awesome. Cool. Well, yeah, I want to
But
make
Bootstrap
time.
JS is not even required.
Oh, yeah, because you're not using like the carousel or anything like that. You're just, gridding.
Mhm.
Um,
Right.
cool. So, yeah, I want to make time to also make sure we chat a little bit about
Mhm.
DevRel things, I guess, your career. So, thank you for showing us, Addy. I think, like, again, the thing that I think is really interesting here is the continuation of the hackathon project, but like the steps you did to open it up as a project to other people. So like we saw, first of all, like, the breaking of the file apart, the extra GitHub org, the efforts to add linting, the efforts to add tests. The
Right.
wiki is super impressive. Like that, like having that project like well documented, and it obviously works because you ended up with like, I mean, a lot of them were in your school, which is again like a great thing to bootstrap an open source club as you were
Mhm.
doing, and we saw similar from Andrew at Tech Nottingham as him using these kind of things to bootstrap that community with their what was it, the I built this for Hacktoberfest website. So yeah, thank you for
Right.
showing us that. I hope that's useful for anyone who comes out of Hacktoberfest thinking I now want to get more people involved. This would be a great place, well, like a great project to look at to get inspiration for that. Let me actually drop the GitHub org in here before I forget. It's Addy.org, right? Addy-org.
Exactly.
Cool. There you go. So yeah, I guess so something I wanted to chat about a little bit as well is you mentioned that you're a hackathon community manager at MLH. We had a couple of MLH folks on, but I guess I want to talk kind of more abstractly about like where and why I guess you personally didn't kind of go into software engineering and what this path you're on is and how that started.
Right. And that's actually an interesting question because from what you can see over here, I was coding different things
Yeah,
inside of JS and I was looking
great.
into learning different React stuff. React
Yeah,
Native is like one of the things I'm very deep. I've done a lot of things inside of that, I'll say.
yeah,
But if you also see the way this org was structured, this was everything I learned over the times, maybe at call or anywhere else when I see the documentation and things
great.
like that. So the reason I was able to get all these contributors was because I used and I structured it very well. And
Mhm.
I'll say my coding skills again were not that great as per the structuring skills, as for writing all these things, as was making a standard and things like that.
Mhm.
So I thought this was more of my thing rather than just diving deep into software engineering. And the second thing might be I was kind of bored from like always coding and things like that. So I'm
Great.
doing this from my high school times. So again, if I see it has been a long time, I've been like hard coding different things, and I was like, let's try something else. Let's try something new, and that's when I got involved with the community a lot. I was working with my like local community, that my university community. We were trying to promote open source over there. I joined the GitHub Campus Experts, and that was one of the best things that happened. And thanks, Joe, for that.
No worries. My
And
pleasure.
yeah, and definitely, if I say that particular experience and giving a lot of talks in different countries, even different
Yeah.
places inside of the city, and this all structured me into a different kind of a role over
Mhm.
time. In 1 or 2 years, I got structured into a different role.
Great.
Although before joining MLH, I was working as a React Native or a software engineering for a startup. I made their like internal portals. I made their banking application and things like that at that point of time. But I was very much like I did all those things because I think I could do that. So I was able to code. That's why I was coding. I was not always enjoying all the different parts of it. Right.
Right.
So I later on moved on. I was like, let's see, let's try something else. And that's why when I moved on to dev stuff, I focused on a lot of different things, learned a lot of different things. And if I say about MLH, hackathon was the reason I got into this whole community in the first place. So joining MLH was like, okay, I started this doing that. I'm now completing the circle, joining MLH. So yeah, I did that particularly because of that.
That's awesome. So one thing I would suggest, I talk about like your day to day, and one thing that like every person who's in like DevRel and kind of adjacent things gets asked a lot is like how often you still use like the skills from your code. So like we were talking before joining this that like you use, for example, your development skills to automate a lot of things kind of day in, day out. And like that's still, and obviously there's the parts where like you're going to hackathons and mentoring people. But yeah, can you talk a little bit about like where I guess being a developer and being technical is still useful in that career path?
So being a developer was actually the main thing for this career path in terms of what my understanding is. Although this is a lot of involving maybe the community aspect, maybe the way you can understand other psychology in terms. People from psychology make great developers. I've seen a lot of people, and I really love their work. And although I think having a developer mindset, how you understand the developers is actually the major thing out here. So if I am talking to any hacker at a hackathon, I can understand from where this is coming from. I can definitely understand if this particular thing is going to maybe our partner companies, what this actually means for that developer. I will be able to understand. So for sure, this has definitely been the major part. But not just that, as a DevRel, you need to maybe learn new things along the way. I'm always like searching for maybe, so I was just looking into Dino recently. I was looking into different other things because I need to know what are the things that are going on and how people are actually using those things.
Right.
So that were the mostly the DevRel stuff. But if I talk about my day-to-day stuff, I have done a lot of automations. I've almost automated the whole process about the MLH membership and things like that. So I say I'm a very lazy person when it comes to doing manual stuff. I do not like maybe writing a lot of emails regularly. I'm like, I can easily automate this thing. I can write down different templates, and that's going on there. Although I have to write feedback a lot of times, and I have to do that manually, and I love that portion. But the repeated emails, the different things, like I need to convert leads manually. I don't like those stuff. Maybe using Excel for different stuff again. So just automating all these things. I have used certain Python scripts at times, but mostly what I've done is using the other ways of automating what it goes into CRM, what it goes into Google Sheet, but it's very closely related to coding for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's like a lot of just like I always think the name of the like IFTTT, if this then that, is a great example where like IFTTT is a tool that like a lot of people use without ever learning to code. But even the name is like exemplar of like when you're doing these things, it follows coding logic, like if this then that, and like branching conditionals. And yeah, knowing a lot of the tools that MLH uses. So like I'm a big fan of NAN as well. If anyone hasn't seen this project, it's amazing. And it's like it has a visual node-based editor. But again, it's like very similar in that if you have that kind of programmatic background, it's like a lot quicker and easier to use. Cool. Well, thank you for explaining that.
And that's great, actually. Although MLH, I've used N8N for a lot of things. So also, if I talk about IFTTT, what I do, something good was there. I tend to lose all my notifications. I'm like clear all the notifications, or I used to like miss all my messages. I just automated it into a Google Sheet that I own, and I'm like, if I have missed something, I just search it over and leave it on.
Yeah, that's actually a really good idea. So I have this. I have a problem with iOS where I have that thing where like the notifications don't actually show the details on the home screen because I don't want to get my phone out one day and have just like, or someone picks up my phone, it's got like, I don't know, an email from my bank just on the home screen. But then like, whilst that's an iOS setting, a lot of apps don't realize that's an iOS setting, I guess. So like, there's a lot of apps where for example, they send you a notification, you interact with the notification, and then it takes you to a screen that isn't actually about that notification. And because you never saw the text of the notification, it's difficult to tell what you were meant to look at. So yeah, in that case, like just being able to push all my notifications to a spreadsheet would actually probably fix a lot of that problem.
And what I do inside of that spreadsheet, even I tend to maybe filter it out into different tabs for different applications, and what I usually like visit it very often. So it helps me a lot to keep a track of different things. So I love it.
That's awesome. Super rad. Cool. Well, yeah, that's kind of where we are for time today. So thank you so much for spending time with us today, and for walking us through several generations of the same project. That's nice to. It's actually the first time I think we've been able to look back at it from multiple iterations on the project. So that's super cool, and see it before and after more people. So yeah, thank you for joining us on the show. I will shuffle you backstage to do the outro. Farewell.
Okay. Thank you.
Alrighty, everyone. Thank you again to Yashovardhan. That was awesome. If you want to catch that project and have a look at Addy, you can find it down below. Again, just to reiterate, I think part of the reason this is really useful is an example of taking like a solo project into a project that other people are ready to contribute to. Some of the changes between that. Actually, let me get the original repo up as well, because that'd be a good comparison. Sorry, Yashovardhan, I'm posting your old code all over the internet. It's so easy to find Yashovardhan's projects because he managed to get the Yashovardhan username on GitHub, which getting just your first name on GitHub is an achievement. There we go. So there's the original. So yeah, super good comparison between the two. Really useful. So what's up for the rest of the day? We have one more show today with Ethan Arrowwood, software engineer at Microsoft, and most importantly, a maintainer at Fastify. Fastify is a fast and low overhead web framework for Node.js, and Ethan maintains that project. So we'll be taking a look at that with him tonight. We're going to be doing a very similar thing to what we did today. Sorry, not what we did today, what we did with Penelope from Ruby Format, where we'll be jumping into Fastify, talking about its use case. Oh, and also with Ender from GraphPack Friday. So we'll be jumping into Fastify, talking about its use case, talking about how you use it, and then hopefully talking a little bit about contributing to it, and also talking about how Ethan got involved with the project. So that'd be super cool. That is on in about 4.5 hours, 4 and 45-minute hours, 10 p.m. European time, 4 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, 1 p.m. Pacific Time. So that will be on in 4 hours or so. 1 second. Sorry. So yeah, so that is that, and that will be on very soon. For the rest of the schedule for the week, that is now up on our Twitch page, twitch.tv RaisedDev's schedule. Let me run you through what is on some of that schedule for the rest of the week. So tomorrow we have 2 shows. We have the Dev2 takeover. So tomorrow, Dev2, Nick is back with Arit, and they're going to look at the liquid tags that are inside Forum. We're going to talk about liquid tags. I'm excited for that show because I do a lot of Jekyll, which uses liquid tags. Liquid tags are difficult. It's a markup language used by like static sites that gives you some programmatic ability, but is not a full-fledged programming language. So it has loops, it has conditionals, it has filters, but it's very much written for like static blogging sites. So it gives you just what you need and not much more complexity. And apparently liquid tags are in forums. So it'd be exciting to see that. So the Dev2 takeover is at 4 p.m. Central European time tomorrow, 10 a.m. EDT. In the evening, we have... In the evening, we have Anand Kapoor from HashiCorp, which will be super cool. With Anand, we're talking about, let me pull that up. While I find that, I'll keep going on with names for the rest of the week. It's Wednesday morning. Oh, Wednesday's the Accidental Twilio Day. We have Layla Porter Wednesday morning. We have Lizzie Siegel in the evening. So we've got the Twilio Day. And in between, you've got me and Wilhelm hanging out here. Friday, we have... Juan Pablo Flores from GitHub, and Gregor Martinez also works on a lot of GitHub projects, also works with Snowpack, and is just in general a wonderful open source maintainer. So we've got lots of cool things there. And then Friday, we've got PJ, Shai Ruparel, and Frida Casas. So Friday suddenly exploded and came out of nowhere. Friday was an empty day for a lot of the time, but now we've got a full schedule. So lots of exciting guests to come this week. So join us in about 4 hours for the show with Ethan to go through Fastify. In the meantime, if you have any questions or anything that we can help you with, you can submit those questions to raise.dev Hacktoberfest. We will get those questions over to one of our expert guests who will answer them here on the show or talk about them here on the show, and we'll then send you the recording. And finally, from me, if you're looking for help with your developer career, looking to find a new path, looking to level up, looking to change jobs, our expert coaches can help you at raise.dev, and you can apply completely for free whilst you're in early access. So thank you again for joining us. If you join us for the evening show, I will see you in a couple of hours. Otherwise, hope to see you some other time this week. Again, you can find that schedule at twitch.tv raise.dev schedule. But until then, have a wonderful day, days, weeks, whichever it is. I will see you on the next one.